the information superhighway, an online network called Internet.
Have we started?
I don't know.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show, everybody. Hello. I need. Hi. So today we're gonna be talking about.
Hey, everybody.
Part 2.
Wait, shit. I named the last one, so you have to name this one, I guess.
Oh, okay.
I think I broke it. It's not. Oh, there it goes.
Oh no! It's just it got really quiet all of a sudden.
There's a quiet moment in this song.
All right.
What do we do? What?
Do I have to come up with a name right now?
I guess I'll do it since this is just part 2 of the last one.
All right, I'll come up with a Mass Effect one next time.
We'll just call it Alienation Nation Part 2.
Oh man!
You know, no, we'll call it the Nation of Alienation.
Oh whoa!
Welcome to the Nation of Alienation Part 2. So in the last episode, previously on the online podcast, we talked about, well, the plan was for me to review Breath of the Wild and then explain the Zelda Timeline to Scott and then talk about my theories.
We got to one of those.
Yeah, we got to half of that. Mostly we went on tangents and I had a lot to say. But Wanda looks very confused right now.
Yeah.
I feel like Wanda is the third member of this podcast.
She really is. She sits here as we're recording,
yes,
as if she's, you know what it is? It's as if she's a guest waiting to be introduced.
Yeah.
Like
she always weasels her way in
like
somehow.
not talking, but just like waiting patiently.
Yes, I enjoy her. But so today we're going to be talking
Mm-hmm.
the second part, the timeline, and the everything.
And I mean, as with last time, blanket spoilers for all of Zelda.
Oh yeah, this one especially. Last time I kind of just spoiled Breath of the Wild. Well, I spoiled Wind Waker and others. A little bit, but this one definitely I'm gonna get into the nitty gritty of certain things. For those who are wondering, this time I have water instead of lemonade. So,
I also have water.
Yeah, it's a better idea. So
yeah, I mean, but just hear that ice, which is frozen water.
Mm-hmm.
I love people.
All right, Benny.
Okay.
Hold on. Sorry,
Okay.
I'm gonna stop. Everybody, go. Benny is messaging me on Skype right now. My boss, and he's like, "Are you seriously asleep? It's 8 p.m." I'm not. I'm recording a podcast.
Yeah, you can be busy with other stuff just because. Ugh, Benny.
Do you want me to conference him in right now and yell at him?
Sure.
Let's try this. This is the first guest. Hold on.
First guest?
First guest
That's
of this
not right.
episode. No,
of this episode.
I don't
It's
know.
the first Skyped in guest. That's
Hold
an honor.
on. This is probably not. I might edit this out. Hey, Benny.
You're not asleep?
No, you're on a podcast right now.
No, we've been off for the last hour.
No. I'm saying right now I'm recording a podcast and you're on it.
Oh, well, hello there.
Hi, everyone. Dylan likes to sleep weird.
We're not live. Scott and I are recording our podcast, and I figured I would explain this to you really quick.
Oh, all right. Long story short, it's going to be getting to you late night tonight. We're going to aim for a midday tomorrow release, so don't kill yourself. Hi,
Okay.
Scott. And I will talk to you when you get off of it, Dylan.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. That he was referring to my editing for today.
Mm-hmm.
Which that is very helpful because I assumed that I was going to be up all night. But we're good now. Anyway, that was Benny the Comicstorian, everybody.
Whoa!
That was our audience claps.
Oh, from youtube.com/fluidicbeats.
I also have that URL ingrained into my mind.
Yeah.
And it's so funny to me. For anyone that doesn't get that's Comics Explains actual YouTube URL. And it's a good underground joke. Anyway, we're gonna get back to the timeline now.
Yes.
So for those that don't know, Scott probably included.
Yes.
This-
I am your I'm the person that you're going to be explaining it to
Yes.
because I have very little knowledge.
Also
So,
Wanda,
Yeah,
but-
so don't expect a lot of insider knowledge here. Or at least, if it does, you can be sure that I will be 100% confused and ask a ton of questions. So don't feel like, oh, I don't know anything about Zelda, so I don't know why that's the voice I assigned to you, the listener.
Sure.
You probably sound more like, I don't know anything about Zelda.
Oh,
So I probably can't listen to this episode. But you can!
You can if you don't want to be spoiled by anything.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to spoil friggin' everything.
Yeah.
I don't know why I censored myself there.
You normally don't.
Oh, God! Anyway.
Logging on to Skype again.
Anyway. So I don't know where to start. I guess I should start with... This song isn't from Skyward Sword that we're listening to right now.
Why do you do that?
Because it's funny. This is the 25th anniversary medley that they did when they for the first trailer for Skyward Sword, because Skyward Sword came out in celebration of the 25th anniversary of The Legend of Zelda.
Huh.
Which came out in 1986, I believe was the first one.
God, it feels like so much longer.
Yeah,
like when
it
you
does.
say, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's because us as comic book people, we're used to like seeing 75th
Yeah.
anniversary as opposed to 25th.
You're
so
right.
25th just
that's
seems
at the
dwarfed.
maximum. No, right now, most popular characters are at least 50.
Yeah. But we don't talk about comics on this podcast.
You're right.
So anyway, we're gonna start with the beginning of time.
What? The Temple of Time?
So, well, I guess
Oh.
I should start with how much do you know about the Zelda timeline? Like anything at all?
I mean, not really. Nothing. There are doesn't it split off somewhere into different? Yeah. Okay. So at a certain point, so the links are mostly all different links.
Yes,
right?
mostly.
But there's
Well,
some.
Kind of.
But
I'll get into that.
They split off into different timelines of
Yeah.
different choices.
A
Maybe.
little bit.
Okay.
But
Yeah. I don't know.
So-
go at it as if I have no knowledge.
sure. I thought that would be an interesting insight. Yeah, so I guess I'll get a little bit of a meta information on when this book came. When this book come out. The timeline was it's basically accepted at this point that it was completely fabricated.
Okay.
Because of a very popular thing before 2013, which is when the official timeline came into being. And the reason it's called the official timeline is because the timeline was something
slapped a Nintendo logo on it.
well, yeah, and the timeline was something that Zelda fans were obsessed with
Yeah.
trying to figure out.
Oh.
It was the most popular like theory thing that fans did. Like whenever you talked about Zelda, you'd be like, "Ooh, what timeline theory do you subscribe to?"
Yeah.
And the two big ones were a split timeline and a single unified timeline. And basically what that means is those were the two templates. So you had one where Ocarina of Time caused a split in the timeline so that there's two timelines at some point. And then there's one that just happens.
Yeah.
And those were the two like big versions of the timeline that were accepted among fans, but the placements of the games were different. The only thing that was constant was in the split timeline, Ocarina of Time happened at some point, and in the unified timeline, the only constants were sequel games like the first two, Zelda and Zelda 2.
Yeah.
They very clearly take place right next to each other.
Gotcha.
Same thing with Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass, and Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. So the unified timeline never really made sense to me because of reasons I'll get into. But in 2013, with the release of the Hyrule Historia, which is a giant book that just details, it was also released in accordance with the 25th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
It goes over lots of details of things that happen in between games. There's a lot of backstory and lore on certain characters and things.
If anyone keeps track of dates in terms of superhero movies, this is when Man of Steel came out.
Sure.
I
guess so.
This is I keep track of that in my head. Also, Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, those came out in the same year?
Yeah.
That's weird to think about. I did not watch Man of Steel in theaters.
I did.
not
I think I
care.
watched it twice. But anyway.
Yikes, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to talk about comics on this show.
That's just look. That's how I keep track of dates in my head. All right.
I know, you big nerd.
And now it's quiet. Now it's way too quiet.
No, I ruined the joke. It's over.
All right.
I was trying to make the music go like this, but it didn't work
All right.
because the iPhone's stupid. Anyway.
So this was released in 2013?
Yeah, this book, The Hyrule Historia, was released in 2013, and in it, in the second chapter, as I now know, there's a little page on the 69th page, apparently.
Why is that funny, Dylan? Why is that funny?
Because there's a sex position where the man is like this and the woman is like this.
We'll take a picture for Instagram.
Yeah. Remember, we do this podcast with no clothes.
I forgot about that.
Anyway, this is too triumphant for this moment.
I cannot wait to see the fan art.
People, please don't draw Rule 34 of Scott and I. Technically, Rule 34 states that it has to exist, but
Yeah.
we don't need that.
Oh my
Listen to this
god.
channel intro. What is this? No, we don't need that. No, not that one. Fucking Jesus. Okay. Good lord.
Just pick a song, Dylan.
I was, but it was clicking the wrong ones because I have no depth perception. Anyway, the timeline was released, and everybody at first was like, "What the fuck? None of this makes sense." Oh shit, that was not planned. But this is not the one that I thought.
Oh,
it
but
was
it's
going
so
to be.
great.
Okay,
So
I'll leave it
fits.
in then.
Yeah.
And so everybody was a little bit angry because some of it didn't make sense, but it's the official timeline, so we kind of have to accept it and run with it.
Yeah.
And there have been games that have come out since then, namely A Link Between Worlds. That's the next main game that happened after Skyward Sword, and it's not like actually in the image of the official timeline that circulates around, but Nintendo has come out and said that it takes place. I don't think directly after A Link to the Past. I think it takes place after Link's Awakening.
All right, you're gonna have to explain to me what happens in every single Zelda game.
Oh, I'm planning on it.
Oh, okay.
Yep. That's why we couldn't do it in the last one. But anyway, we'll start from the very...
All right, everyone, get your pencils ready.
We'll start from the very...
There will be a quiz after this episode.
Start from the very beginning with...
It's a very good place to start. Your hand motion there.
with The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. This is Grease's theme. Grease is great.
Wait, did Skyward Sword come first?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Skyward Sword is the first game in the timeline. But before we get to that, we should talk about the creation. I'm going to follow this very clearly. So if for those of you who want to follow along at home, just look up Zelda Timeline. It's like the first image that comes up. It has a thing at the top that says Legend of the Goddesses and the Hero. It's got like a scrawling thing on it. But we're going to start with creation. How did the world get created? What do you think?
Well, let's see. If I've learned anything from Bible college, it's all fake.
This really is Nation of Alienation.
Ouch. I have no idea how the world of Zelda was created. I only remember the opening sequence of Ocarina of Time.
That's it.
That's the one?
Uh-huh.
Okay, cool.
So that is something that has been, I think, from the first Zelda game, potentially just A Link to the Past is when it was created, I think. But basically, these three goddesses, Din, Furore, and Nehru, created everything. I think Din was responsible for... one of them, I don't really remember the specifics, but one of them was responsible for all life on Earth. It's never referred to as Earth; it's just referred to as Hyrule. And this is also not this is just what the Hylians or just all of Hyrule believes.
Okay.
We don't really know what's going on. It's the
Right.
legend. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's
all fictional.
Yes, you're right. But I'm gonna stop playing Cruise's theme.
All right.
So one of them created all life on Earth, one of them created the land, and one of them created the water. So I think Nehru was water, Din was the earth, and then Furore created all life or whatever.
Yeah.
But they just kind of, and they also created the Triforce. They this magical power
Yes.
that could be accessed by any person, and
Why did they
with
do
good.
that?
I don't remember.
Okay.
It's probably just plot convenience.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if they probably explain it in the Hyrule Historia. I haven't read the full thing. But so yeah, that happened, and then They also, I think, did they create? I think the goddess Hylia was a combination of their spirits.
Okay.
And in the time before Skyward Sword, here it says on the timeline, the ancient battle and the reincarnation of the goddess Hylia. So before Skyward Sword took place, I think it was like thousands and thousands of years before, there was the goddess Hylia and the great demon Demise, and they were in this war. And basically, Hylia fell at some point, but not before they were able to seal Demise away and put him into this. And I'm sure, like, hardcore Zelda fans are like, "You're probably getting some of this wrong." I probably am.
Do you think that
They're not saying probably?
Yeah, exactly.
They're saying you're getting some of this wrong. I probably am. I haven't played Skyward Sword in a long time, but it's fine. So they sealed Demise away or put him into this like stasis form where he was like a big acorn creature. I could probably show him to you. He's wait, I think he's on the next page actually.
Nope, you lied.
Maybe I lied. Where is he? Where the fuck is the acorn man? Well, this is his true form.
Okay.
But he looks like a big acorn. He looks like a big acorn with a dopey mouth. It's pretty funny.
That's awesome.
But yeah, they sealed him away at the bottom and they lived in the sky at this point. Well, no, they didn't live in the sky at this point. Basically, what happened before Skyward Sword is Hylia trapped Demise, and I think with the help of some sages, trapped Demise in this like acorn man form and put him at the bottom. And then, okay, there's like a wood chipper going on.
Is there a reaper outside?
And then Hylia like raised a part of what was just the world at that point. It wasn't known as anything at that point. Raised it up into the sky above the clouds and took a select few people from the land and put them on there with it. And it was mostly just like they're later referred to as Hylians, but they were, I think, Skyloftians is what they're called, and that place became known as Skyloft, and they eventually created this Knight Academy and had like a law in this like small part of the world, and it was forbidden to go down into the land below because it's like filled with the Demise's garbage and shit, but there are people down there that are just exploring or whatever, and they don't know about Skyloft, but it's like weirdly barren down there.
I remember because in the actual game, when you're in the sky, you can't see downward, but when you're on the ground, you can look up into the sky. So there's kind of a weird disconnect.
There's nothing there.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a really. We're gonna try and not talk about the quality of the games
Sorry.
in the timeline.
Yeah.
But Skyward Sword is not great. But the story is really cool. So that's what we're gonna talk about. So yeah, the Skyward Sword starts, and basically, Link is just a dude that lives in Skyloft, and he's training to become a knight in the Knight Academy, and that's kind of how they explain his weird like outfit. Is that's just the knight uniform in that game.
Okay.
Anyway, they don't explain it in most of the games.
Okay.
So some of the games they hinge on like past games, and they're like, this is what the great hero wore, so you should wear it.
Right.
And stuff like that. That's the explanation of Wind Waker, I'm pretty sure. But
I'm okay with that explanation.
yeah, that's basically anything after, because we'll get to this, but Ocarina of Time is the first Link that was like, holy shit, this dude is amazing.
Yeah.
Because they were like, this game's gonna do some shit, and then it did. So like now, any game made after that comes soon after Ocarina of Time, they're like, the hero of time is the best dude in the world. Unless it's one at a time, but I'll get that. Can't quite yet.
I cannot understand anything you're saying right now.
Not quite yet.
All right. So Link he's a Skyloftian,
Yeah.
and then he goes adventuring.
And then
Ow. Is this flying music or adventure music? Ow!
This is my favorite Zelda song. This is Ballad of the Goddess.
Okay.
This is great. No, this is not flying music. Flying music kind of sucks. Well, I don't actually remember that. This is just like the Skyward Sword's theme, and it's great. I love it so much. And if you play it backwards, you can hear Zelda's Lullaby, another famous Zelda song.
Oh, really?
It's great. It's really cool. They do a lot of that shit in Zelda. But this part is the part that you play backwards, and it sounds like that. So the reason I'm playing this is because Zelda in Skyward Sword is, and again, spoilers for all Zelda games, she is the reincarnation of the goddess Hylia.
Okay.
In the Zelda games. So
in all of the Zelda games.
Kind of.
Okay.
We'll get into it, but in Skyward Sword specifically, she is the fully like reincarnated form of Hylia, and Link isn't anything. He's just a dude that Zelda is into.
I like it.
Like weirdly into.
Yeah.
And
I mean, have you seen him?
he's very pretty in Skyward Sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they have this like relationship thing, and they get thrust into this adventure because Girahim, who is kind of the main baddie of Zelda of Skyward Sword, is trying to resurrect Demise, and I don't remember why, but for part of the ritual he needs a Zelda because he knows that she's the resurrection or whatever. I don't think she actually knows that.
Okay.
But I don't think the Skyloftians know that either. But so he kidnaps Zelda, as is the case in a lot of the Zelda games. She gets kidnapped or taken in some capacity.
Oh,
and
feminism.
And they in more recent games they're making a point where instead of Zelda getting kidnapped, she's more so just saving the world and needs to be saved because if she can't like hold out sealing Ganon forever, like in Breath of the Wild, the most recent example is she's just trapped in Hyrule Castle trying to contain Ganon so he doesn't blow the fucking world up.
That makes sense. You say recent games, but let's not forget Wand of Gamelon.
You're right.
How do those fit into the timeline?
No, they're not.
They don't?
They're not
Okay.
real. No, we're not going to talk about the CDI games. But I'm sure there's theories as to where they fit in.
Positive.
But I don't know them. So
And it's not official.
wait.
Wait, is it there?
No, I just realized there's a bit that says stories not included in the Chronicles, and it just says I think this is some like remake of The Legend of Zelda and Link's crossbow training, but they don't make any mention of the Philips CDI
So
games.
not even worth mentioning.
No, not at all. Nintendo doesn't acknowledge their existence. I don't even know what this one is on the left.
That's amazing.
Link's crossbow training was funny. It was just a thing that they included with I don't think maybe it was with Twilight Princess. It came out around the same time, but I don't know if it was with Twilight Princess. It was just like a game that you could put your Wiimote into a peripheral and shoot things with Link. But anyway, so yeah, Skyward Sword happens. The goddess Hylia and is Zelda. And Link has to go on this quest to save her, and he has to go into the bottom land and finds out all this shit. Like, there's a Goron, and there's this old lady there who knows about shit, and she turns out to be Impa later, who is another, like, pillar in the Zelda franchise that everybody knows about. And eventually, like, Groose falls down, and because Groose is, like, the stereotypical bully. What's his name? Biff from he's very much just Biff, and he's like Biff and Gaston combined.
Nice.
He eventually like his character development turns out to be like he ends up being like a big proponent of like Team Zelda and trying to help and stuff, and he sets up like cannons on underground and stuff. He's really cool. But so they have this adventure and they meet like Gorons, and I don't think the Zora show up at any point, but there's the Kikwis, there's the all these dudes that they see, and eventually Girahim is able to resurrect Demise in like a there's also time travel involved and shit, which doesn't really make any sense. They go like further back where there's this like, and this really doesn't make much sense, but they time travel at a point. There's a point in the game, I think it's in the Lanayru part, which is a desert, but in the past it was like an ocean. And also in this ocean there were these robot civilizations, which really doesn't make any sense.
That checks out.
Because this is the beginning of the timeline. So we're not like, there's nothing before Skyward Sword technically, but we don't know how long after creation Skyward Sword happened. So there could have been like some apocalypse that happened.
Oh god, that would be such a fun game.
But yeah, there's so much they could do, because again, like I meant to mention this earlier, is the timeline was pretty much just fabricated. That's why people say that it doesn't make much sense, because it doesn't. They had to do a lot of legwork to string a bunch of games that were never meant to have a timeline together.
Definitely. Remind me on the next episode to talk about Mass Effect Andromeda's timeline because it is fascinating to me.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe not a game for this, but like I could definitely see some just extended universe media about like a comic or a novel or something that dove into, you know, the stuff that happened before all this stuff that we know happened.
Yeah.
Like the robots.
Yeah, I don't think Zelda will ever do another novel. They explained some of that stuff in here.
Yeah.
But I think that most of the things that they were doing was because they were like, okay, we have an official timeline now. People are going to want to know. So small things like all the little small like black text in here that's not a part of a game, like the Sacred Realm is sealed and the establishment of Hyrule Kingdom, stuff like that. They touch on that in games,
Right.
which is where it comes from. But in here, they like expand on it and give it more lore.
Gotcha. So I have to imagine they did not have this official timeline in mind, but it was just out of necessity.
They
They're like, let's
they
put everything
claim
together. Yeah.
and they claimed forever, and this is why the Zelda timeline was such. I forgot about this, but this is why the Zelda timeline was such like a thing that fans wanted to figure out. Is Miyamoto and Aonuma, who I don't think he is anymore, but he still is. He's like the Eiji Aonuma is the like lead designer on the Zelda games and has been for a very long time.
Right.
Miyamoto created it, but he's not really doing much anymore. He's just a face. But they always claimed that they had like an official Zelda timeline locked away, but at this point, people were just like, no, they didn't.
No.
They just wanted to. They made one eventually, but
Yeah, they put all the pieces together.
I think probably definitely when Ocarina of Time hit, they may have had a timeline, but before that, no. They because Ocarina of Time was the one that like started like a shared universe of some kind. Because Zelda and Zelda 2, it was just a direct sequel. A Link to the Past had just like references. It wasn't really clearly put in, and as the timeline evidences, it's not close to them. But anyway, I'm gonna stop playing this one because it's pretty repetitive after a while. We'll just go back to the medley. So yeah, that's the thing with the timeline. But Skyward Sword.
Yes.
I'm gonna skip all the way to the end of the Skyward Sword because
Please do.
that's kind of what kickstarts Zelda in general, and this is kind of why they can't make a game before Skyward Sword.
And why they should have made Skyward Sword better.
Yes. So has the thought ever crossed your mind why in every single Zelda game, other than just it being a Zelda game, why there's always a Zelda, why there's always a Link, why there's always a Ganon or some kind of force?
I just imagined it was one of those classic story elements where, you know, there's always going to be like those three characters or multiple characters are linked together.
Yeah, and so people the official like explanation of it before Skyward Sword.
It's like so. Just to kind of further explain what I'm talking about, it would be like on Legends of Tomorrow, how there's the Hawk people always are continuously showing up.
Yeah, and that's the official, like, it wasn't really an explanation for it, but their reasoning was the Triforce, and the Triforce for some reason was always and Link was kind of always the odd one out, but the Triforce of Power would always go to Ganondorf, the Triforce of Wisdom would always go to Zelda, and the Triforce of Courage would always go to the hero.
Right.
And that happened to be Link every time.
That's interesting. So it's almost like it feels to me like there's, I don't know, just like I had a way to describe it. Never mind.
It's fine. But fans also had theories before Skyward Sword about like the larger meta theory. That's still I still like this theory. It kind of weakens it, but also gives it like a greater theme about it, where it is the Legend of Zelda. So all of these games, there is no timeline, there is no chronological sequence. It's all
they're all different like myths.
Yeah, it's all just the same story being told in different ways by different people. So that's why there's always a Link, a Zelda,
I love
Ganon.
that so much.
That's super. That's a super cool thing to me, but that's not true as far as we know. But
headcanon accepted.
Sure.
I love that.
But that's and that actually, when we talk about Breath of the Wild, I'm gonna get into that a little bit. But that's like that's a popular thing that people have in a lot of things that get out of control with timelines. Is just like it's just a thing that's being told, and it makes
it's a
more
story.
sense in a Zelda thing because they're always talking about myths and stuff, and that also explains away like continuity or consistency errors and stuff like that because it's just somebody
Yeah.
got it wrong.
Yeah.
But
I love that so much. I don't care. Scrap the rest of this episode.
we're done. That's it.
I love that is. All right. You
It's
explain the
it's a
rest,
fun
but
idea.
man, that's my favorite thing.
Yeah,
I've
I
ever
really
heard.
enjoy that too because that it gives it such just like this really like mythological air about it. But Skyward Sword actually has a very large supporting evidence for that theory. But the only like evidence against that theory is how a lot of the games reference each other
Right.
and are direct sequels. So if you're telling a myth, that doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, I would say the direct sequel that could be fine, but when it comes to the games referencing each other, you could also just explain that away as one person who's telling the story heard another story and was
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I think that makes sense as we go like more down the rabbit hole with the timeline. But so basically the end of Skyward Sword, the actual canon, or I hate the word canon. I've come to hate that
You
word.
can call it
but-
Ganon.
Ganon, the actual Ganon. The official explanation of why there's always a Link, there's always a Zelda, there's always a Ganon, or just some kind of bad boy.
Yeah.
Is so the Demon King Demise, who you notice he's the main bad guy of the game other than Girahim. He's not named Ganon, but he is the embodiment of the hatred and like negativity basically that would later become Ganon and Ganondorf and all these incarnations of him. And at the end of Skyward Sword, but right before they seal him away again, and so basically the way that they actually seal him away this time is they turn him back into Acorn Man. But after they do that, so he can't get out again, they land Skyloft on top of him in a hole so that he can't get out from it.
I love it.
And well, he did eventually later. But
Wait, hold on. He's an acorn. He was planted in the ground.
Yes.
Does he become the tree?
No.
And oh my
No.
god, that would have been amazing.
Oh, that'd be great though.
What connective tissue? Let's make that headcanon theory a legit thing.
Sure. But yeah, and then the Skyloft falls and not falls, but they put it back down into the ground, and then eventually Hyrule is established, and they blossom on what would come to be known as Hyrule.
Sure.
And they also establish the Sacred Realm, which is where they kind of seal him, and they put the Triforce in there so nobody can fuck with it. And because the Triforce, if you touch it and you're pure of heart or pure of intention, not pure of heart, just if you know what you want to do, you could do anything. It basically just grants you a wish. It's a MacGuffin. So that like Ganondorf's trying to always get the 3 pieces so he can turn Hyrule into oblivion.
Gotcha.
But so right before Demise is sealed, he casts this curse on Link and Zelda, and he basically says, you will, I don't remember the exact wording, but he basically says, the two of you,
I love you forever.
Yep.
I'll like you for always.
He says, your spirits, your descendants, everything about you will always be locked in this loop of you two will fight me forever, no matter what.
I love that.
Yeah. So that was their like explanation of like this is why. So
Yeah.
there's so every new Link, every new Zelda, every new Ganon is a descendant of either in spirit or lineage. It is a descendant of this Link, this Zelda, and this Demise. And with Demise, it's a little more loose because he's like. It's just his like hatred that is imbued in somebody. Most of the time it's Ganon. I think pretty much all the time after Demise it's Ganon, but that's not always the main bad guy.
Man, I know we don't talk about comics on this show.
Sure.
But it reminds me of alternate universes in comics where like you could look at the MCU and you can see how a lot of it is inspired by the comics.
Yeah.
And so you could it's almost like a sense of destiny. Like there are certain events and certain characters, things will always happen to these characters no matter what universe they're in, no matter what timeline they're in or whatever. It's always gonna happen. That's pretty interesting to me.
So,
Oh,
as we get into a little Skyloft theme here,
All right. Are we still on Skyward Sword?
a little bit. We're going
Okay.
to transition here into something else in a minute. Which, while I talk, I'm going to try and bring up some music for each game. But
You should start a new YouTube show called Game Time, and you go through the timelines of different.
I don't think there's enough content out there because there's not a lot of timelines that are as interesting as the Zelda timeline.
Yeah. The Sonic timeline.
That doesn't exist.
Did Drake ever make that video?
I don't know. Well, he was gonna give it to. I don't know if we can talk about. Or should talk about this.
Okay, fine. Never mind then.
Um,
I just remember that was a video that he was working on. I don't know if it
Yeah.
ever got made.
But anyway, we're gonna move on now. So, yeah. So basically, at the end of that curse is established upon Link, Zelda, and Demise, and they return to the surface world. Hyrule is established. The Sacred Realm is established, and then things happen. Whatever. And then the game, we're now in. So they also have like eras in here. So we've gone through creation. We've gone through the era of the goddess Hylia, and the Sky era. We went through the era of chaos, which is when the Sacred Realm was established. The era of prosperity with Hyrule starting and everything, and now we are in the Force era, which is not Star Wars.
Dang it!
But it is.
That's an interesting one to do a timeline about. I have a theory that episode 1, 2, and 3 come before 4, 5, and 6.
Holy shit.
I know, right?
Whoa.
You'd think because the movies came afterwards, but I think they're prequels.
That's wild.
Think about that for a second.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Yeah.
So,
All right, so where are we at game-wise?
we are now at the Minish Cap.
Ooh, I've heard of this one.
Yes, it is fantastic.
I've heard that about it as well.
Yes, it
That's-
is.
I looked up like Zelda games I should play because there was a time when I was like
Definitely.
super into like emulators, and I was like, what's like an old school Zelda game that I should play? And Minish Cap was one that everybody recommended.
Yeah, Minish Cap it holds a special place in my heart. It's one of my favorite Zelda games, and it's so quick. You can beat it so quick.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, like a day or less.
Maybe a couple. I think
Couple
I've
days?
beaten it in a day before, but I was
Okay.
like nonstop, and I know you're not like that with games.
I love Chrono Trigger. I've still never beaten it because I can only play games for like a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And
It would probably take you a week or two to beat Minish Cap, probably.
I always start over every time I go back to Chrono Trigger because I forget what I'm doing.
Right.
And there's no easy
That's
way.
the problem with RPGs.
Yeah, there's no easy way to remember what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So like, anyway. But yeah.
So, in Minish Cap is kind of blurry. The next few games are going to be kind of blurry because in this Force era, I didn't know. I mean, I played Minish Cap a lot, but the next one is Four Swords, and I didn't play that like at all. But in Minish Cap, basically, what happened is in the Kingdom of Hyrule has been prospering for a while, and there's
good.
this Princess Zelda who is friends with this little knight boy named Link. He's in the village, and
Aww.
are they friends in this game? I think they are. I think they're childhood friends.
lovers?
No, they grew up together, and
Yeah.
I think, and they
Hey, you know what? That's how it can be sometimes. A guy and a girl can just be friends.
yeah.
I mean, look at us right now.
Yeah. But so there's these people called the Minish who are very small boys.
Okay.
They're like forest people, even
Sounds small.
though the Minish.
Yeah.
And
How small are they? They're mini. They're mini-ish.
Minish. But there's this great wizard of the Minish tribe called Eslo, and his apprentice Vati. And as is the case in lots of stories with great wizards, his disciple Vati goes bad, and Vati is the main antagonist of this game and a couple games after this. And basically, his goal is like, and there have been like worshippers of Demise or Ganon or just the evil that plagued Hyrule or whatever, because Demise didn't exist before this.
So they didn't-
at this
they
game,
couldn't
so
refer to
they
him.
couldn't refer to him
Right.
directly. But and I don't think they ever do because it's so far after Skyward Sword that he's just become like the great evil that triumphed over Hyrule.
Can I ask a question
Sure.
about Demise?
Yes.
did the term demise come from him?
Probably not. It's probably the other way around.
Well, okay, because there's a Doctor Who thing where in the canon of Doctor Who, the humans get the word doctor from him. Like, because his name is just the Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he has a full name, but he chooses to go by the Doctor.
Right.
And because he comes and helps out
Oh, God.
and saves the day,
That's
people
time
have
travel.
adopted the term Doctor
Yeah.
to refer to someone who's
Interesting.
helpful and saves people.
That's fun.
So I didn't know if like the term
I
demise,
don't
like
think so.
if his name was Demise, and then they adopted that term to mean like
I don't think the nuance of language is ever
All right.
touched on in Zelda.
headcanon that one as well, everybody.
Sure. You're just coming up with all the answers today.
That's right.
But yeah, so in Minish Cap,
And also, don't forget, Demise is the tree man from Ocarina of Time. So
yes, he's the Great Deku Tree.
keep that in mind.
But so in the Minish Cap, Vadi is like, I want to release the evil on Hyrule. I'm a descendant or a disciple of Ganon or whatever. Blah blah blah. He's the bad guy, and he lays a curse on his master Eslo
So many curses.
and turns him into
Tree.
Demise.
Link's hat.
Yes.
Oh, Cap. I get it.
Yep.
The Minish Cap.
He turns him into this. You can kind of see it here.
Yeah.
He's a little bird man.
I get
And
it.
he's your helper character in the game. So he just rests on your head, and he just looks like Link's hat normally, but when he wants to talk to you, he comes up and goes, "Wah!" and then just starts saying things. And he's great. I love him. But then you could just kind of go, and Vadi, like, there's this chest at like a knighting ceremony or something that for some reason it's just there, and
Yeah.
Vadi opens it, and then it just releases monsters all over Hyrule, and then this like era of decay starts where
I like it.
Hyrule just descends into madness. But Link eventually like saves everything and defeats Vadi, and you don't see Ganon at all in this game.
Right.
But because Vadi's just the bad dude, and Link defeats Vadi and steals him away and saves Zelda, who's like turned to stone by Vadi or some shit. And
She was stoned. Got it.
yep. And then that's basically the game. Not like super much important plot wise happens.
But it's just a lot of fun to play. Or
Yeah, it's a lot. It's just a really fun, relaxing game to play.
fun.
But
I like it.
wait, they're not called the Minish. They're called the Picori. Sorry. They're not called the Minish, I don't think. Maybe they are. I don't know.
Well, all of those angry Zelda fans from earlier.
Yeah, maybe they're called the Picori. Maybe they're called the Minish. I don't fucking know.
It's not like we have a resource in front of us where we could easily look that up.
I don't know where it is in this book.
Yeah.
But
It's one of the two. And whichever...
it might be both. I'm not sure.
We'll put up a poll. Tell us.
But yes, this is the rise of the evil Vadi. He becomes the Ganon for this era, basically.
Okay.
He's the Force era's Ganon, and he's not the reincarnation of Demise. I don't think in any way. He's just trying to resurrect him in a sense. And this takes place just like thousands of years after after Skyward Sword.
Okay.
And after that happens.
Wait, so is there no game in between those two?
No, Skyward Sword in terms of the timeline, it's Skyward Sword, then a bunch of shit, years go by, and then Minish Cap.
Okay, so is there no Link, Zelda, Ganon stuff in between those two games that we know of? Okay.
That we know of,
That
no.
we know. Okay.
Presumably no, like at all. Maybe something happened in the Hyrule Kingdom, but most of the
Because
time,
like 1,000 years seems like a long time.
I don't think it's 1,000. Actually it's probably more than 1,000. I don't know. It's a long time because
Okay.
Hyrule is like flourishing at this point.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Minish Cap. So there may have been some.
Their Minishes are capped.
Yep.
Let me tell you that much.
There may have been something, but we don't know about it. And if we
Okay.
do, I don't know about it. So after that,
That'd be a fun prequel game. Figure out why
Sure
Hyrule is flourishing, and it's because of a thing that you did.
I mean, I'm sure they talk about it a little bit in this book, but
Probably.
but anyway, Four Swords happens after that, which is kind of a spin-off game, but it does have story that happens in the main stuff.
How many swords are there in this game?
One.
There's one.
Yes, but
Okay.
I'll explain why it's called the Four Swords in a minute. I guess they're technically four swords. We'll get into it.
So, are you saying 4 swords or force hordes?
Four swords.
Okay.
Four glords.
Gotcha.
Four? Barely know her. So there's this, the Picori who are the Minish or something. They made this sword called the Four Sword. It might not be called the Four Sword. I think it's like the Sword of Light or some shit. No, that's Skyward Sword. I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
We're playing Minish Cap music right now, by the way. I'm just going to keep it for Four Swords because Four Swords is the same engine as Minish Cap. They just kind of shit it out. That's why it's kind of considered a side game.
Gotcha.
But basically, in Four Swords, like like a disciple of Vadi or something who's sealed away at this point tricks Link. Oh, they seal him in this sword, in Link's sword that he puts in.
Okay.
And then this Link guy, this just new Link, he's tricked by Vadi or Vadi's descendant or something or disciple or something into taking the sword out from its pedestal.
Yeah.
And when he does that, it releases the monsters and Vadi all over Hyrule again and splits him into 4 people. With different colored tunics for some reason.
Gotcha. Oh, I think I've seen gameplay. I think my brother was playing this game once. Yeah.
There's
my brother's a huge Zelda fan.
Hell yeah. I should have him on this podcast.
You should start a Zelda podcast. He has a photographic memory of all of Zelda and all of Pokemon. So if you want to just come chat about,
he would have been a good asset for this episode.
Yeah, I think he has a pretty. I don't know about Kirby. He's really knowledgeable about Kirby. I don't know how photographic his memory is. I'm positive he knows nothing about Sonic. So
good. I'll bring that to the table.
All right, cool.
But yeah, so in Four Swords, Vadi is released, and basically you just have to use you gotta use green Link, red Link, blue Link, and purple Link to solve puzzles. I don't know, because purple's great.
I mean, I guess, but like that's not the color I would have if I was doing all the 4 colors.
What, yellow?
Yeah, probably.
Too close to green.
Like a gold.
It's too close. It makes Link seem insignificant.
I don't know about that. I mean, you don't think purple's too close to blue?
Yeah, you're probably right. It's also very close to red.
Yeah. Well, that's how colors work.
Yes.
You could have done like a white and a black.
I think it's just because yellow's not very super. Also, his hair's yellow.
Oh, that makes sense.
So, blonde, whatever.
I'm gonna do green, olive, forest, and
oh god, he just he camouflages constantly.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so Four Swords happens. Basically, I might be confusing this with Four Swords Adventures, but like the sages are sealed or something. No, that is Four Swords Adventures. Four Swords Adventures and Four Swords are 2 different games.
Oh, okay.
But I think they happen very close to each other. But anyway, Vadi is sealed away at some point. Blah blah blah. Who cares? That happens now. Then there's like just another era of there's this thing that this is also another contributing factor to that cyclical or that not the cyclical thing, but the
myth.
Yeah,
thing?
the myth theory where it's just being told in different ways over and over again.
Because there's always like a period of.
There's always a period of grace before calamity hits and everything goes to shit.
Calamity Ganon?
We'll get in that. But then something happens.
What happens?
I don't know. What does happen?
History repeats itself. Ouch.
So.
Yeah. So this is Ocarina, right?
Yes. It says Hyrulean Civil War before this. I don't really remember what that is.
What? That sounds rad.
I'm pretty sure it's just like
Tony Stark versus Captain America.
Yes. Splits off into the Marvel world at some point.
That's right. They're connected. Headcanon that one as well.
Yep. But no. So that happens at some point, and I'm pretty sure all it is like the.
I just, as a side note, I feel like historians might think it's horrible that Civil War goes to comic books instead of the
Our
actual
Civil
American
War.
Civil War.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's fine. We didn't coin Civil Wars.
No. But now we're in the era of, you guessed it, the hero of time.
The hero of time?
The hero of rhyme.
I wish I knew the lyrics that came after that. I would have. The hero of time? That's right, the hero of rhyme.
So So the
Getting lost in the music.
Ocarina.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
The good one, 1998. I was born then.
Whoa, you're young.
Yes. When Ocarina of Time came out, everyone was like, "Holy fucking shit! This is the best game in existence," and people still say that.
There's a 3D Zelda.
Whoa! It's amazing. But it goes crazy. It went cinema. There's like cutscenes and shit. It's wild.
Yeah. Sweeping, beautiful music.
Yeah. The Sacred Realm is a thing.
Z targeting.
Z targeting. Everything's happening. Link can do fucking backflips now.
That's right. He can.
He can roll. He can side hop.
You could wear the
crazy
hover boots all the time.
I guess technically in Skyward Sword you could do these things, which happens chronologically the time, but the time Ocarina of Time, people lost their shit.
They sure did.
Ocarina of Time's great. So
it will forever be the thing that, like, the year you were born, you're like, oh, it's the year I was born. Nope, sorry, it was the year that Ocarina of Time came out.
Yep. No, it was fine. I'll gladly share it with that.
And if you're doing comic book movies at home, 1998 was when, I don't know, probably some sort of Blade movie happened. I don't know.
Oh, back on track. Shut up about comic books.
Blade 2, I'm guessing. I don't know.
So, Ocarina of Time was such an adventure. Everything good happened until it didn't.
Uh-oh.
Bad things happen in this one. This is the quintessential Zelda game. This is where shit hits the fan here. Mm-hmm. It goes crazy.
Nice. I should have just said Blade 1.
Everything goes wild here because this is the first appearance of the King of Thieves. Ganondorf. The dwarf.
The King of Thieves?
The G-Man.
Aladdin 3? No, Aladdin 4?
There's 4 Aladdins?
Pretty sure.
Holy shit.
And I think it's the 4th one that's called Aladdin King of Thieves. And we find out that Aladdin's dad's still alive.
Interesting.
And he's the thief. He's the King of Thieves.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ganondorf is also that.
Ooh, headcanon that.
So anyway, Ocarina of Time. I remember what the Hyrulean Civil War was. Basically, it's the backstory of Ocarina of Time. So there was this civil war in Hyrule for, I don't remember the reason. I'm not even sure if they explain it. But the reason that they talked about it was Link's mother, to escape, to like make him like make Link not be a part of like Hyrule. She ran into the Lost Woods and found the Great Deku Tree and was like, please raise my child.
Right.
I don't want him to be a part of this world. And so the Deku Tree's like, okay, we'll raise him as a Kokiri. And the Kokiri are forest spirits who never grow up, basically. They look like 10-year-old kids. Mm-hmm. So Link believed he was a Kokiri up until it was time for him to go. Right. And he was like, oh shit, I'm a Hylian. I'm not a Kokiri.
Puberty and they're like,
basically. They were like, oh shit. Even though all the Kokiri are like thousands of years old.
Right.
But they just look and act like children.
Oh man. So I didn't actually know that part of the whole thing. That makes it so much weirder to think about, like,
they're pretty
potential love interests.
This is why Kokiri don't appear in any more games.
Oh, really?
They're weird. No,
they never appeared.
And there's a significance to that, which we'll get into in a later game.
But I was like, oh, this one was that the one female one. That, like,
Saria?
It's like a potential love interest type character.
You want to talk about Saria?
We don't?
No. Do you want to talk about Saria?
Potentially.
Shit. Fuck.
Why does it come up? Oh, you're doing Saria's song?
Here it is. Ocarina, Saria's song. Well, that's just the Lost Woods.
Yeah, but that makes sense, though, because it's like, or it doesn't make sense. It just makes it weirder for me to think about how, like, I always thought that she is a potential love interest, and it's like, no, she is.
She's intended to be.
Okay, but like, she's way older than Link is.
It's fine.
Okay, yeah, they don't have these laws.
That's like a Zelda thing that because like in Ocarina of Time. Oh, I'm saying that as if we're not talking about Ocarina, but in Ocarina there's also the Gerudo who is a Zora,
correct?
Who also comes onto you, but the Zoras live for fucking ever, and it takes them forever to like mature to that level. Which I think that may have been retconned in, because that's a thing in Breath of the Wild and I think other games.
Okay. Because
But
she definitely acts very childish.
yes, but and also she does grow up in the 7-year time span.
Yes.
So that's probably not a thing in Ocarina, but that is a thing now. But the Gorons also live forever. It's just Hylians that don't live for a super duper long time.
Okay.
They live longer than us, but they like Impa always lives to be like 200 or some shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in Ocarina of Time, there's this Link fairy boy who the Ocarina of Time is it's the quintessential Zelda game, and it will forever be that because it's very important to the story.
Mm-hmm.
It was very important to the games.
Yeah. Did it introduce a lot of like?
Yes,
standards?
it introduced a whole shit ton of standard, which is why there's only 3 games before it in the timeline. And Skyward Sword also introduces a lot of standards, but there were a lot of like retconny standards.
Gotcha. Quick question: how long have we been recording?
Almost an hour.
Okay,
This is gonna be a long one.
We should, kick it into high gear.
I'll speed it up. So Ocarina of Time happens, and basically there are these Link leaves the Lost Woods because he has a dream of Zelda calling out to him and being stolen by Ganon. Or no, it's Impa on a horse riding away with Zelda, who's being chased by Ganondorf.
Right.
That's the first cutscene in the game, and that like blew everyone away.
Yes. That's not the first cutscene.
Well, it's one of the first things you see.
Yeah. Okay.
And so that Link is like, what do I do, Deku Tree? And he sends him off on this quest, starting with the Deku. You gotta save the Deku Tree from some shit. You gotta get these 3 things, these 3 pendants. You meet up with Zelda, and then Ganondorf walks in and is like propositioning the king to do something.
Yeah.
And he's secretly like he's the sole male in the Gerudo tribe, which are commonly assumed to be a band of thieves.
What's their sound? Like, what are they? What kind of genre?
I'll get to it. I'm about to play it. Here it is. This is one of the best songs to come out of Ocarina.
Oh, yeah. I know this one.
It's Gerudo Valley. This is probably one of the most remixed songs in existence as well.
Love it.
Yeah, they're like desert kind of people, and it's very incredibly rare for a male to be born into their tribe.
Yes.
So Ganondorf is born, and they like kind of treat him as like this herald, and he's made out to be the king, I think. And
is that why he has like red hair?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he's a Gerudo.
Gotcha.
And that's why he also has a big old nose.
Oh, I didn't know. I did not know that was a feature of them.
They all have very large noses, very large pointy noses. And so Ganondorf is like he just wants to. He's the reincarnation of Demise. He's the first like super actual reincarnation of Demise. Mm-hmm. So he wants to get the Triforce, the full Triforce, and put an end to Hyrule. Blah blah blah. Whatever motive. So Link has to stop him, and at this point the Sacred Realm has been sealed away in the Temple of Time, which is this place that also has the Master Sword in it.
Yes.
And there's a point in the game where Link has to go pull the Master Sword, which is the sword that seals the darkness. Basically, it's just a MacGuffin weapon that can kill Ganondorf. And he goes to get it at a certain point. Mm-hmm. But at this point, a lot of shit happens when you pull the Master Sword for the first time.
Yeah.
Number one, Ganondorf has been watching you this whole time and realizes that his only way into the Sacred Realm is to access it when Link pulls the Master Sword and opens it for a brief moment. So when this happens, Ganondorf basically puts you into a sleep for 7 years, and it accesses the Sacred Realm, and almost I think he either does get he gets the Triforce of Power at that point, I think, and that allows him to overtake Hyrule Castle and put Hyrule into ruin for 7 years while Link is asleep taking a big old nap.
Nice.
And it's also like he has to be like prepared because he's not worthy for the Master Sword because he's not old enough. So he wakes up, he's 17, this sage is talking to him in like this Sacred Realm, and he's like, Link, Ganon has fucked us all up. You have to help.
I used to be an owl.
I'm surprise, I'm an owl man.
We don't talk about comics on the show.
Oh shit, I'm sorry. But then I'm gonna get the Temple of Time music going because that's good music. But then the sage is like, to defeat Ganon, you have to go find all of the other sages and awaken them, awaken their sageliness.
This was the part when I was watching my brother play that I thought was awesome.
It's super cool.
Because I thought, because you do 3 dungeons prior to this. You do, you get the gems and
the Great
everything.
Deku Tree to get the forest thing. You get the Jabu Jabu. You go inside a big old fish, which is hilarious.
Then you go into like a fire.
You go into Death Mountain.
Yes.
Crater.
And so that to me was enough game where I was like, oh, you get the Master Sword and you win or whatever. But then it's like
such a good thing about Ocarina.
Then you unlock an entirely new world of the game, where you have to go to a bunch of other, and you find out that a lot of the sages are people that you had met like when you were a child, and I was like, this is so cool.
It's pretty awesome. Ocarina does a lot of stuff like that, and that was like that actually the like game mechanic of getting 3 things and then another bunch of stuff comes up. That was created in A Link to the Past. Where you basically did the same thing. You got 3 pendants, grabbed the Master Sword, then did like 7 other things.
Gotcha.
But in Ocarina, you have to go rescue the sages and awaken them, bring them to the sacred realm. So you have Naburu of the Gerudo tribe. You have Saria is one. Rudo, who's all grown up now, is one. Zelda clearly is one.
Of course.
Who's you wake up in the Temple of Time and there's this boy.
Yeah.
This little boy sitting there.
He's pretty awesome.
He's like, hey man, what are you doing here? You gotta go to these places. And
of course you do. And they're like, who are you? You look awesome.
And then he's like, oh shit, yeah, you got me. I'm Zelda.
Wait, Sheik is Zelda?
You must be shitting all over both of my nuts right now. We make too many Game Grumps references on this podcast.
Can I just say, so many times you've been talking about like just Ocarina, and I've just wanted to make so many Game Grumps references, but I've been holding it back.
It's fine. We're alienating everybody. That's the point.
That's correct. I thought that whole aspect was really cool.
Yeah. So Zelda basically after Ganon took over, Impa took Zelda into her care and was like, we got to train you up and make you like a master of disguise so that Ganon can't fucking find you and steal your Triforce piece.
We're still going to give you eyeliner.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
So she becomes this like badass ninja Sheikah dude, Sheik, and which is a very on-the-nose name for the Sheikah tribe.
Right.
But this is also the first appearance of the Sheikah in like, not chronologically, the Sheikah were in Skyward Sword and have been a thing around. There's also theories about them, which are really cool.
But in the game franchise.
Yeah. This is the first appearance of the Sheikah, as far as I'm aware. And they're always like they're up until Breath of the Wild, they've been this very mysterious, just like tribe that has always fallen at some point, but had like technology that was super advanced above every other tribe. And it's never really clear if they're a separate race from the Hylians, because they look like Hylians. They have the pointy ears. They look like humans with pointy ears, which is what the Hylians are.
Faction or something like that.
But I'm not sure if they're a different species or not. But I don't think they are. I think they're just like a tribe. So Sheik is Zelda. She's one of the sages. Trying to think of the other ones. There's a Goron sage. What's his name?
Can I just say, when you played, did you know going in when you played Ocarina that Sheik was Zelda?
Yeah.
Okay.
Smash Bros was out at that point.
Oh, okay. So I was playing before, or I was watching my brother play before Sheik and Zelda were a part of the Smash Brothers games, and maybe I'm just misremembering it, but as soon as I saw Sheik, I was like, oh, cool, Zelda got a cool costume. So like, I don't know if that. So I don't know. Maybe
not a lot of people knew it right off the bat, but it's pretty obvious thinking about it.
Because I could just be misremembering it. My brother was pretty knowledgeable, so maybe he had mentioned something about it to me. But I just remember never seeing that as like a big twist. Yeah. I was just like, oh, cool.
Cool.
Sheik is Zelda from moment one.
You're smart, Scott.
Yeah. God. I don't know.
No, but yeah. So who? I think I've got all the stages at this point. I'm probably forgetting one. Yeah, there's Saria, Naburu, Zelda, Gabora, King of Hyrule Man, Darunia, sorry, and I think that's it.
Sure.
5 stages?
I don't know.
Does that make sense? I think Link is one as well, kind of, not really.
Okay.
But yeah, the Ocarina of Time, they get all the sages, and then they attack Ganondorf.
You build a rainbow road.
In his, yep, they attack Ganondorf in his castle, and then he's like, "Bitch, I don't need you." So then he transforms into Big Pig Man as a callback to the original Ganon, who is just... So there's Ganondorf, who is the human form, and then there's Ganon, who is Big Pig Man.
Yes, I get those confused all the time.
Yes,
Yeah.
most people do, because they're very similar. But yeah, so he transforms into his final form, basically, and Link defeats him. Or does he? And so basically, at this point, shit hits the fan again, part 2, but in like the timeline sense.
Okay.
So here's what happens.
Tell me what happens. Break it down for me.
After Ocarina of Time, 3 timelines are created.
3!
3.
I thought it was 2.
That's what everybody thought. And then Nintendo was like, no.
All right, so 3
Surprise,
timelines.
bitch. 3 timelines are
Split
created
off.
at some point in Ocarina of Time.
All right.
The easiest one to understand is if Link dies at any point during his journey, one timeline is created called, it's commonly referred to as the Downfall timeline.
Majora's Mask.
No.
Dang it.
That the Downfall timeline we'll get to in a minute, but that is A Link to the Past, Oracle of Ages and Seasons, Link's Awakening, A Link Between Worlds, Zelda, and Zelda 2.
Okay.
That's the Downfall timeline. The 2 other timelines, which are the ones that people like super considered, they never really considered the like Downfall timeline thing, are there is a timeline created when what is the...
Wait, so Downfall, like when you say he dies at any point in his journey, does that mean like if you're just playing the game and you do something stupid and you kill yourself accidentally, it creates the Downfall timeline?
Whenever you die at any given point,
I love that.
That's when the Downfall timeline is created.
I just see so many people in Breath of the Wild do some dumb, stupid
Yep.
deaths, and I can only imagine it happens in previous games, you know? Like you'd kill yourself in some dumb way in Ocarina of Time, and it's just like, and you're dead.
Yep.
Way to go.
But yeah, so at the end of Ocarina of Time, there's time travel in the game too, because what you're able to do with the Ocarina of Time is you put the sword, if you put the sword back in its place, you time travel back to the child era, when you're just 10 years old and you're running around and stuff, and Hyrule
and everything's
isn't
happy.
gone to shit. Yeah, basically. And so what happens at the end of the game after Ganondorf is defeated, you see Link and Zelda in the Sacred Realm, and Zelda is like, "Okay, Link, you've done all you can. You're the hero. You deserve your childhood. We ripped your childhood from you." So she sends Link back, and he reappears in the Temple of Time as a 10-year-old, and Navi, his companion, flies off, and what happens after that is Link's like, well, shit, where'd Navi go? I want to go find Navi. So he takes a little bit of a journey.
To Majora's Mask.
That's the one.
Yes.
He takes a journey into the Lost Woods to look for Navi, and he stumbles across this I forget what their actual race is called, but the Skull Kid. He stumbles upon the Skull Kid, who like lures him and like steals Epona.
Right.
And then Link chases after Epona and falls down this tree. And as he's falling, there's this like psychedelic trip that he met with a terrible fate. And what is now canon, which people were just real confused about it at when Ocarina of Time happened, or Majora's Mask happened, was the tree that he fell down in the Lost Woods. There's at some point in there's a portal between a parallel dimension, and the place that Majora's Mask takes place in, Termina, is a parallel dimension to Hyrule.
I know this song.
Hell yeah. This is Majora's Mask's theme.
Oh, I love it.
Or this is Clocktown's theme.
Yeah. Oh, this rings so many bells.
Nice. I like how the Clocktown in Majora's Mask is what hits a nerve for you instead of anything in Ocarina.
I don't know. Well, I mean, I recognize the ones from Ocarina, but I watched my brother play this game constantly because, I mean, we could not figure out how to beat it. So.
Oh right. But yeah, he falls down into a parallel dimension, which is why in Majora's Mask there are characters that appear the same and stuff like that. But before we get like super into Majora's Mask, that is one timeline that's created. So the timeline that is created the timeline that we follow with Majora's Mask after Link is sent back in time, is what's referred to as the child timeline, because he's a child in this one, and the hero of time is a child in this timeline. But
In this timeline.
the timeline still goes on of when Link was an adult and when he beat Ganondorf and all this.
Gotcha.
That's still happening. So that Zelda and that everyone there is still happening. And but Ganondorf is sealed in the Sacred Realm.
So that big party that happens at the end of Ocarina.
Yeah, that timeline.
That timeline continues on as the
That
adults.
continues on with Ganondorf being sealed. There's a period of grace again. Hyrule is flourishing once again, and then I'm just gonna good little key in here with the music.
Nice.
Then I'm actually gonna switch tracks a little bit. This is still Majora's Mask.
Okay.
So something happens. Oh, this is not detailed in the game, but oh god, I love this song so much. Ganondorf is resurrected at some point.
Okay.
By just
Which timeline is this?
this is the adult timeline
Okay.
now. So this is the timeline where the one that still
Yes.
happens after Link defeats Ganondorf and he's sealed away in the
Yes.
Sacred Realm. So he is resurrected.
Yes.
And-
what happens to Link after that? I mean, I know that he goes back into a child, but does the adult version of him still live
No,
on?
he's just gone.
Oh, he's just straight up
because his
gone.
physical thing was time traveled back.
Gotcha.
And his
so
body
there
was
is
time.
no more
there's
Link.
no Link here.
Gotcha. All
in
right.
this timeline.
So
and
Ganon's resurrected.
Ganondorf's back. No one's there to restore him basically. So in a last ditch effort, the Hylians, including like the King of Hyrule and everything, Ganondorf is like laying waste to everything. In a last ditch effort, they go and pray to the goddess Hylia and Din Furore and Nehru, and they're like, help! Like what the we need to help in some way. So. What their answer is to flood all of Hyrule and just shove Ganondorf down, and just flood him basically.
I gotcha.
And then years go by, blah blah blah, and the Wind Waker
Boat
happens.
game.
Boat game, that's the one. Again here, Ganondorf is resurrected, but
God, I love the fact that even in games, there's always a myth of a great flood.
yeah, that yep, pretty much. But and then in the down, basically in the, I'll quickly explain the downfall timeline as well. I'm gonna let you pick which timeline we go to.
Yeah.
After this, after I
Okay.
get through the
Totally.
setup of them. So the in the downfall timeline, anytime Link is defeated, basically Ganondorf just goes on and he's like laying waste to everything because there's no one there to stop him, no one there to reactivate the sages and help. And there's this imprisoning war with the sages, who are these 7 sages who are trying to just seal Ganon back away into the Sacred Realm. And eventually they succeed, and again, Hyrule's flourishing, blah, 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 but Ganon's resurrected again, and A Link to the Past happens, where Ganon kidnaps Zelda, and Link is forced to, Link hears Zelda call out to her, or to him, and Link, here's.
You're trying so hard to find appropriate music.
I'm trying to get Link to the Past music going.
Gotcha.
Oh, shit, this is really hard. You search Link to the Past and only Game Grumps comes up. Shit.
Let's play an episode of Game Grumps under us.
So basically, Zelda calls out to Link and is like, Link, you're my only hope. And he's like, oh shit, I gotta save the princess. So, Zelda doesn't call out to Link. She calls out to any like knight of Hyrule,
Gotcha.
of Hyrule Castle.
Oh, interesting.
And the Link's uncle, who is like the only family member not the only family, one of the only family members you ever see of Link in a game, he goes and is like immediately like, well, gotta go save the princess. So he goes and just marches into the castle to try and save Zelda.
Right.
And just gets fucking killed.
Oh no.
So Link is like, well, shit, I gotta go and see where my uncle is.
Which game was this one again?
Link to the Past.
Was this a very cartoony one?
No, this is the third Zelda game.
The third Zelda
It's
game.
on the Super Nintendo.
Okay, never
It's
mind.
pixel 16-bit, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so...
The cartoony one was
Wind Waker.
Wind Waker.
Yeah,
Right, okay.
Wind Waker and a couple others. Minish Cap is the same way, Phantom Hourglass, Spirit Tracks. But Four Swords Adventures was also the same. So yeah, Link to the Past happens, and the setup for that is basically just Link has to go save Zelda, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, and it's not super important to the story. Things
Sure.
happen. I think Link seals Ganon away again or something.
Mm-hmm.
But the Downfall timeline, because it's made up of most of the early games, not a lot of super cool, crazy, important story plot points happen here.
Gotcha.
But so yeah, those are the timelines.
Yeah.
Pick and choose. Which one do you want to go into?
Out of all three of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
To start with, anyway.
To start with, I'm actually pretty curious about the adult one.
The adult
of
timeline?
everything that happened just immediately after Ocarina of Time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll go back to Wind Waker music. So
How long have we been recording?
an hour and 15.
Okay.
So this is a long one.
This is gonna be a long one, but it's gonna be longer for us because we're recording a lot of these today.
Yep, it's fine. So yeah, Wind Waker happens and Ganondorf is resurrected. This is my favorite Zelda game, by the way.
Yeah, Wind Waker.
Yeah,
I think I've heard you say that before.
I love it so much. It's just it's so fun and just light and enjoyable. But Wind Waker happens and there's Link Boy, and this is the first case of this is one of the first games that took place in a world after Ocarina, that chronologically came after Ocarina, and like in the real world came after Ocarina, where they heavily rely on Ocarina's story.
Right.
So you have like the hero of time of a world past is like this great legend who they speak of, and that's the explanation in this game for why Link wears the clothes that he does, because he's gifted these clothes to go on his journey. And the reason he goes on this journey is because when Ganondorf is resurrected, he realizes that Zelda, who has the Triforce of Wisdom, has gone undercover in some way. She's not around, so he knows he knows she's like a small, like 12, 13-year-old girl at this point. So he sends his like bird boy to just go snatch up girls from islands.
Oh my god.
And take them to him.
This is continues to be very biblical.
Yep. So he keeps just like snatching girls up, and he actually gets real close early in the game to taking who I'm just gonna say right off the bat. There's Tetra, who is this leader of this like pirate clan who just goes around and they're pirates. She, unbeknownst to herself, is Zelda, like hidden away.
Gotcha.
And so I forget the bird's name, but the bird goes to the island where he senses like Zelda is, but instead of grabbing Tetra, he accidentally grabs Link's sister. Link has a sister and a grandma in this game.
Yes.
And
this was the first game that I watched my brother play, and it wasn't the first game that I watched him play. It was the first game that I realized that, I guess he informed me that not all the Links are the same Link.
Yeah.
I was like,
This
this is a different Link? How does that work?
So yeah, so in Wind Waker, basically what happens is Link has to go on this. He's approached by this boat, this talking lion boat, the King of Red Lions, who's like, dude, you want to save your sister? Well, let's do it. I forget the pomp and circumstance as to why he does that, but they go on this adventure together, and they
We all
eventually
need a boat friend.
Sure. And eventually Link saves his sister and meets up with Tetra, and then they like, oh, we gotta go defeat Ganondorf and stuff like this.
We don't have to. We're children.
We're done. But yeah, so the King of Red eventually Link has to like activate this stuff to get the Master Sword, and
sorry, I keep interrupting. Out of all these games, how many times has Ganondorf or the evil force been defeated by a child?
2, 3, 5, 4. Up until Wind Waker, 3 times. Skyward Sword, he was like 17.
Okay.
Well, technically in Ocarina, he was defeated when he was 17 as well.
Okay.
So twice.
So just twice?
Yeah.
Like total for all the games?
Just before Wind Waker.
Okay.
Total for all the games, it's 1, 2, 3. That's not really clear. Neither is this. It's not really clear what his age is
fair enough.
in most of the games.
I just wanted to...
Probably like 6 or 7.
Gotcha. It makes me feel like he has to be real annoyed about that.
Well, I don't think he remembers his past lives.
Oh, okay.
It's the same case.
He just
where,
has
like,
a disdain for children and he has no idea why.
Yep. It's the same thing with like the Lynx, where the Lynx don't remember their past lives.
Yeah.
And some of them aren't even like past lives. They're just like the spirit of the reincarnated form of whatever this dude is.
Gotcha.
Same with Zelda.
So they defeat him?
Yeah, they defeat. They go down into Old Hyrule and they go into the not the Temple of Time but Hyrule Castle where the Master Sword is. So they get the Master Sword, and which is able to defeat Ganon.
Is it the same Master Sword?
Yeah, it's always the same Master Sword.
Oh, cool.
It's not always the Master Sword that's in the games, especially like in Minish Cap and 4. In Skyward Sword, Minish Cap and 4. I think Ocarina was the first time to use the Master Sword.
Okay.
In chronology, I don't think in Skyward Sword it is actually the Master Sword, but it's basically the Master Sword. Minish Cap and 4 Swords. Four Swords. There's definitely no Master Sword. In Minish Cap there might be, but I don't remember. Yeah. So in Wind Waker they get the Master Sword, and then Ganondorf like knocks Zelda and Link out and is able to form the Triforce, and is like about to like grab it and touch it, but in a very cartoony moment it pans over and you just see the King of Hyrule, who is the King of Red Lions. You know that at this point in the story, but you just see him already there, came out of nowhere and is touching the thing. And he's like, Ganondorf's like, oh, come on, man. So I forget. I'm pretty sure the king just wishes to like reseal the or just continue the flood or whatever. So Link stabs.
How pretty it is.
Link stabs Ganondorf in the head.
Nice.
And he turns to stone, and then the Master Sword and Ganondorf are just buried under the flood again, and he's basically sealed away.
Man, their solution for defeating these enemies is just let's just put them under something.
Yeah. That's it. They either put them under something or seal them in this realm that is apparently very easy to get out of. Mm-hmm. But
what's it called in Ben 10? The Null Void. No, that's Marvel.
I know what you're talking about. Where he goes to when he transforms into that one alien.
No. They have another. There's like another place where they can send people. I think maybe it is the Null Void. Is that Marvel? No. I'm thinking the Ultimate Nullifier.
Yeah. I was thinking of that. I was thinking that you were thinking of the Negative Zone.
That too. The Null Void is, I think, Ben 10.
Okay.
That's where.
That sounds like a Ben 10 thing.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway.
What does this make you think of? Well, this is just a. Never mind.
I don't know.
This is a variation of the music when you sail.
Okay.
In Wind Waker. So after Wind Waker and Hyrule is all like kind of.
It's all good.
Well, there really is no Hyrule, and because Hyrule is under the water, there's really no Hyrule in Wind Waker. But they at the end of Wind Waker, Link and Tetra, now knowing of Hyrule, this is making sense in my head now. Now knowing of Hyrule and that there was this great land below, it wasn't just myth or legend. This is also a good a weird kind of contradiction to the myth thing, because in Wind Waker is basically based on the fact that there is a myth, which is Ocarina, and they're not sure if it actually happened or not.
Gotcha.
Because it is very biblical, where there was this hero of time who defeated Ganondorf, and then Ganondorf was resurrected and then sealed and then flooded over.
Man.
And now we have our place that's existed for many, many years.
That's interesting.
But so yeah, Link and Zelda now knowing of this.
Yeah. It reminds me of it has similar themes to Skyward Sword, where people are they didn't know that there was this ground thing under them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's relatively the same from a game perspective and from a story perspective, because in Skyward Sword there is like the Sky World and then the below,
The high rule and low rule.
Yeah, well, no, we'll get into that.
Oh, okay.
But in Wind Waker, there is the below, but you only go to it once to get the
Okay.
Master Sword and to fight
Gotcha.
Ganon.
Oh wait, hold on. So I have so many questions.
Okay.
So like when you get the Master, is it just underwater?
It's in Hyrule Castle,
Right. So is it just
like
the same-
underwater
is
Hyrule
it-
Castle.
Yeah. Okay. So is it like the same place in Ocarina of Time, but just like
Well,
underwater
it's the
version?
same place as Ocarina of Time, yes, but
Okay.
it's not. The Master Sword is in a different place because in Ocarina, the Master Sword is in the Temple of Time,
okay,
but
right.
it's in Hyrule Castle.
I'm just wanting.
Who's
My
moved there.
brain wants them to reuse a location, but just underwater. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, they
Like-
kind of did. I mean, it
Okay.
looks different clearly because it's
Okay.
different style and it's been thousands of years. But
Sure. I remember the between Mass Effect. They in between Mass Effect 1 and 2, there's kind of a time jump, and
Oh, okay.
you visit your old your old ship crashed, and so you go visit it, and you kind of relive the memory of your old ship, and it's really nice.
they do that a lot in Zelda, but only in one game, kind of. And they it's mostly because most of the Zelda games take place thousands of years apart, which is why the timeline can work with a series of games that were originally never intended to have a timeline.
Gotcha.
But there is one game which is in the child timeline that we'll get to. I got the same notification.
Yeah. Sorry, we're checking our phones because
Somebody tweeted at us.
Benny the Comicstorian tweeted at us.
Was he? Oh yeah, he was on this one.
Yeah.
He says he watches us
Yeah.
and Eris.
Weird.
Oh, thanks, Benny.
Normally I'd be like, he's just being nice, but I feel like he genuinely watches like everybody like a hawk. Because
Probably.
there have been times where he's made references to my personal channel,
Really?
and I'm like, do you just watch everything?
I don't got time for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've been playing Phantom Hourglass music for 4 minutes.
Boy, that's
Sweet.
I don't even know what that one is. How many more games do we have left? We gotta run. We gotta fly through these,
We
man.
got 11, 12 more games.
Oh my god. Are we gonna make it through this?
Yeah, we're almost done with the adult era. I mean,
Okay.
the Downfall timeline I'm gonna go through real quick because nothing happens in it.
Okay.
Um,
That's fine. I might just like set. Do you mind if I like set timers so we don't go overboard with things?
Sure.
All right. Do you think you could finish this up in 5 minutes, like the adult timeline?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, not much happens after this.
All right,
so
cool.
Phantom Hourglass is basically at the end of Wind Waker. Tetra/Zelda and Link and their band of pirates decide that they want to go off and find a bigger island somewhere at the edge of their land of the Great Sea is what it's called, to restart Hyrule
Okay.
and make it great again.
Make Hyrule great again.
And what's a direct sequel, like a very direct sequel, is Phantom Hourglass, which was on the Nintendo DS, and which is probably why I don't know about it. So basically what happens is they're sailing along and there's this ghost ship that comes along, and Tetra's like, ooh, ghost ship, I wonder what that is, and she just jumps into it and then gets captured.
Has she never watched an episode of Scooby-Doo?
Of course not.
Unbelievable.
Just Scooby-Doo and Zelda.
I choose to believe there's Scooby-Doo everywhere.
It's the one universal constant.
Yeah, it's the universal myth of all the world.
Yes. It's the one truth.
Just someone look through all of the text in all of the Zelda and find any one single character that makes like a ruh-roh, and then I will be happy. Or just Photoshop it. I don't care.
Sure. So yeah, in Phantom Hourglass, they're most of their mission is just to, throughout the game, is they're still just searching. So it's kind of like a very, very close sequel to Wind Waker. It's the same Link, same Zelda. Link meets this guy Linebeck, who helps him like sail around in a different ship to try and find Zelda. And again, not a super lot happens, except at the end of the game, they discover the new continent. Woohoo!
Woo!
I don't know.
Pangea!
Sure. We'll go with that. I don't remember what it's called. What is it called? Oh, they just call it New Hyrule. That's right.
Oh boy, creative, huh?
Yeah. But yeah, lots of time passes between this and the next game, which let me get the music up for. And the next game is one that's very controversial because it's kind of stupid, but it's lovable stupid. And I personally, I think it's not one of the best, but it's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Especially the music in it is great. But
I don't know what it is, but I'm sure once you say it, I'll be like, that rings a bell.
The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks.
No, I have never heard of that one.
It's the train one. You know how Legend of Zelda loves their trains?
This is all new information to me.
Listen to this song. I love this song.
I mean, I kind of dig the song.
Yeah, this song's great.
Yeah.
This is the music that happens when you're in your train going around.
I had no idea that a train Zelda existed.
Yep. So in New Hyrule, they form like a train system, and there's like spirits in it apparently. So there's this giant
Spirit tracks.
There's this giant train thing. Well, it's also called Spirit for another reason.
Do you think that like in the Zelda universe, it's almost like Flintstones where they just use like birds for things, and it's like Zelda they just use spirits for things?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
There's lots of spirits in Zelda, but
it's a living.
There's another like Demon King like reincarnation of Demise thing that's not Ganon that's brought up in this new place because Ganon's like done in the adult timeline. But in New Hyrule, basically there's the bad guys and they go, and then Zelda. Link and Zelda are there, and they like punch Zelda's, like, you know how in Doctor Strange when the Ancient One is like boosh, and then his spirit like his astral form comes out.
Yes,
basically that happens with Zelda, where she like gets out of her body and they take her body so she can't go back into it. So the spirit of Zelda is just flying around for a bit with Link, and then Link is about to be attacked by like a big phantom monster thing, and he's about to die, and then Zelda like goes, "No, Link," and flies into the monster. And then for the rest of the game, she's a monster. She's just a demon dude who follows you around.
That's
and helps you solve puzzles. It's pretty great. And then you're also like doing trains and stuff. And it's a lot of interesting, weird Zelda fun.
You have 50 seconds.
But I mean, that's basically it. It's the last game in the Zelda in the adult timeline. So, the Spirit Tracks ends. Malladus that's the name of the new demon boy. He's resealed or whatever, defeated, and then the Spirit Tracks. Zelda gets back into her body. I think that.
And you sex.
Yup. These 12-year-old sex.
Hold on. The Zelda games highly insinuate.
Yes, they do.
That happens.
But also I should mention the names of all these. We'll go back real quick. I forget. They all have like.
You have 9 seconds.
I'm done with the adult timeline.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to very quickly go over the hero of blank whatever things, because every Link has a hero of something named to him.
Okay.
Or just hero in his name at some point. So
like the hero of Rhyme?
That's the one. So Skyward Sword is like the hero of Legend, I think, because he's like the first one or something. It's either the hero of Legend or the hero of Sky. I don't think it's the hero of Sky, though. I think I'm just making that up because Skyward Sword.
Right.
I think it's the hero of Legend. The Minish Cap is the hero of men.
Hero of hat wearers.
Or Minish. Or the hero of the Bakori or something. I don't know. Four Swords also might be the hero of men. I'm blurry on those two games.
Or the hero of swords.
Ocarina of Time. That's the hero of time. That's the most famous one.
Or the hero of ocarinas.
Sure. The Wind Waker is the hero of wind.
Or the hero of wakers.
Yep. Which is the same one in Phantom Hourglass.
Yep.
And then Spirit Tracks is the hero of trains. And I'm not kidding.
That one, I don't even need an additional joke on that one.
No, he's just the hero of trains.
What a real... if you listen to everyone at the hero of legend, the hero of time, hero of trains.
Hero of trains.
Even I can make the train run on time.
Yep. So there's also the hero of Twilight. There's
or the hero of Princess.
There's the new hero of Hyrule.
Mm-hmm. The new one. Ooh, what is this? An Apple naming scheme?
Yep. There's the hero of Hyrule. There's I don't know. There's some other ones. I think that's all of them.
Hero 7+.
Yep. That's probably the one in Four Swords Adventures.
Yeah.
I don't remember that one. But anyway, that's it. That's the adult timeline.
That's awesome.
So.
Okay.
Do you want to go Child or Downfall now?
You said Downfall's real fast, right?
Yeah, we could do that quick.
Yeah, let's do that, and then we'll finish with the Child one.
Okay.
Because the child seems like there's a lot there.
Oh yeah, I love
Okay.
the child timeline.
All right.
Well, we still have to go into the Breath of the Wild stuff theories, so we could do a third podcast.
Do we want to?
Well, that was kind of the point.
All right. No, let's
Wanna do a
just.
third podcast.
I say let's just power through this one.
Okay. Sorry, I'm writing a thing called Downfall Timeline. So in the Downfall Timeline, the biggest thing that happens is I kind of already went over it. A Link to the Past happens where he has to free the Seven Sages, and this was the quintessential Zelda game before Ocarina came out. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was the one before Ocarina came out. So people.
Did you practice like talking about these before we did this?
No.
So you had no idea how long it would take, but you assumed an hour.
I didn't assume anything. I just wanted to do it.
All right.
So at least the past, yeah, in retrospect, I probably should have like had notes or something and gone over them. But in Link to the Past, Link is like, boop, boop, I'm here. I'm a dude. Mm-hmm. And then he has to stop Ganon from being resurrected, but he gets resurrected anyway. But then he's like, nope, you're gone, sealed away again. And then he like, to stop Ganon's resurrection again, I'm gonna stop playing Spirit Tracks music. We're going through this pretty.
But twains.
I like Spirit Tracks. It's fun.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna play Link to the Past for this whole timeline thing, because that's the most noticeable one. But so then Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons happen, around the same time, if not the same time, where the same Link, the hero of. I think it's the hero of Hyrule. Is this one in A Link to the Past? He like goes on a quest to stop Ganon again by like in a different land. I forget what it's called, but in some kind of not Hyrule, he has to talk to all these.
You know
girls.
what? Based on the naming schemes we've heard of so far, I feel like not Hyrule probably is
probably
the name.
But then Link's Awakening happens, which is it's highly theorized to be a dream, but according to this, it's not.
Well, because it's his awakening.
Mm-hmm. But he gets like adrift at sea on this other place, which I also forget the name of.
Probably other place.
Probably. And there's a big old whale who's like, "You gotta help us, dude." And then Link's like, "All right, I guess that's what I do, so I'm gonna do it."
It's gonna be a whale of a time.
And then I think after that, A Link Between Worlds happens.
Yeah.
Which is. It's basically the same game as A Link to the Past.
Yes.
It's a spiritual successor to it.
That's the one where he can become like 2D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, a dude, I forget who the dude is, but a bad guy is trying to resurrect Ganon again, and he turns everybody into paintings. And then, but this guy this guy is like, no, don't do that. And he gives Link a thing that allows him to. Instead of being cast into a painting, he gets in the painting, but he's able to get back out of it. So that's how he's able to go into walls and stuff. And then you go and beat the dragon, to the guy, and he's like, "Fuck you!" And before he does, this also happens in Link to the Past. I probably should have explained. In A Link to the Past, after you beat the main dude, I don't think it's Ganon. It might be Ganon. He sends you to the Dark World, which is like the opposite of Hyrule.
A good movie. Sorry.
Yep.
Four jokes.
But he sends you to the Dark World, and it's like the opposite of Hyrule, which I don't know if it's the same place. It probably is, but it would in a Link Between Worlds. There's the same concept, and it's called Lorule. But it's the opposite of it, where in Lorule, basically what happened was their Triforce was destroyed. And everything kind of went into chaos because of that. And like everybody's all purple color schemed for some reason. Like and everybody has an equivalent. So like Zelda's equivalent there is named Hilda, and she was the princess, but she like pretended to help Link in A Link Between Worlds, but then she was evil.
Yeah. Wait.
And then what?
Sorry, I'm thinking of Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Oh.
She had ants, and those are very similar names.
But there's also the guy who sells you items throughout the entire game. His name is I don't know. He wears a mask. He's a rabbit purple boy.
Okie dokie.
And he like sells you your items throughout. So you just buy your items in the game. It's a Link Between Worlds, different thing that they tried, and it was pretty cool. And then it's revealed that all he takes his mask off, and he's Link from Lorule. which is crazy because it's a Link that talks a lot, and you can hear him talk a lot. But yeah, and then at the end of the game, Hilda's like trying to steal Hyrule's Triforce, and then she can't, and then she's like possessed by Ganon or some shit, and then Link or Zelda and Link are like, we'll be nice, and they give they like recreate the Hyrule's Triforce and give it back to them.
Cool.
And then everybody's happy. And then years go by.
Yeah.
Some people use the Triforce to make everything nice, and Zelda dies or some shit, and then it's another Zelda, and then the resurrection of Ganon happens again, and Zelda's placed into like a deep sleep by her accidentally by her like dumb brother or some shit.
And the way the story goes.
Yep. And then Link's like, I gotta save the Legend of Zelda. And then the Legend of Zelda happens, the first one.
Oh, cool. I like it.
And then Ganon's resurrected throughout, and then he sealed Ganon away. And then in Zelda 2, which happens directly after it, I think Zelda's in a sleep again for some shit, some reason.
She just took a lot of Z-Quil.
Yeah, don't overdose on Z-Quil, boys.
It's non-addictive, okay? I just use it to go to sleep at appropriate times.
But so yeah, Zelda 2 happens, and throughout the entire games, Ganon's disciples are trying to resurrect him. And you could also say, if they wanted to make more games here, there's every time you die in Zelda 2,
yeah, another despair timeline.
pretty much, because there's at the end when you die, it says "Game Over, Return of Ganon," which is like what you're trying to prevent throughout the game. And in the game, Ganon's never resurrected.
Okay,
because you prevent it.
Yeah,
in this game.
I feel like there should be, for this timeline, there should be, I guess, one game where, maybe not a game. I was gonna say one game where no matter what you do, Ganon comes back. But
well,
but
that's
I guess,
most of these.
Yeah. Oh, that's
in the
true.
downfall,
But I
yeah.
mean, like, the end of the game isn't happy. The end of the game is like, you did everything you possibly could.
Yep. That's kind of Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
Which segue into the last timeline. Downfall
What?
timeline.
We did it.
The child timeline.
The childhood episode.
Oh God. Let's add another an hour and 20 minutes onto this one. So the child timeline is by far my favorite timeline. It has the least, well, no, it has the same amount of games as the adult timeline.
All right.
Well,
So-
that's arguable. We'll get into that.
All right. So this takes place after Ocarina of Time.
Yes, this
is
the timeline that follows Link after he was sent back in time at the end of Ocarina.
Right. So
to live his
he does
childhood.
Majora's Mask.
So he goes through Lost Woods and he dumps into Majora's Mask, and and also he's able to do this because he's armed with the knowledge. He still remembers all of Ocarina.
Right.
So he tells Zelda about this, and it's like kind of implied that also Zelda remembers Link a little bit.
Yeah.
So because there's like spiritual connections or whatever.
Sure.
And so Zelda's like, oh shit, we'll stop him then. So they stop him early.
So like the end of Ocarina of Time is like Link standing in front of Zelda.
Yes.
He has all that knowledge.
Yeah, that's him telling Zelda.
Gotcha. So he just kind of like pieces out from there, like,
Yeah.
all right.
He goes
see ya.
to find Navi after.
All
He's
right.
like, I've done my job.
I like to
I'm gonna go save
imagine. I like
Navi.
to imagine they didn't talk, and it was just like he just showed up and was like, "Sorry, I'm wrong
I gotta
place.
go."
Wrong place."
No, but yeah, so they do that, and they're able to seal Ganon away. Or no, they don't seal Ganon away yet. They just kind of like they prepare countermeasures so that he can't take
Sure.
over.
Majora's Mask doesn't have anything to do with Ganon,
No,
does it?
not at all.
Right.
So Link goes and tries to find Navi, falls into a tree in the Lost Woods, goes into this parallel dimension known as Termina, which is under a threat of this big ass moon.
Made of pure nightmare fuel.
Yes, just terrifying. Is falling towards the Earth. Towards Termina.
Is crying, but also seems very happy about the whole ordeal.
Yeah, it's kind of a mess.
Yeah.
But Link is like cursed by the Skull Kid, who is now possessed / not possessed by Majora's Mask, and Majora is just this evil deity who you could argue is another reincarnation of Demise, and is just not really trying to destroy everything, but kind of is. It's because Majora's moon is the moon, and it's like falling down, and in 3 days it's gonna blow up. So
the game. This is also a big reason why I liked Majora's Mask, even though I never beat it, is because I am a sucker for games and really any story that involves time travel.
Yeah.
I love time travel.
Yeah,
and so
so
this game is, you get 3 days, and I'll take it over from here, Dylan.
Okay.
So you get 3 days, and then you have to do a whole bunch of tasks, and then when you're out of time, you just go back to the first day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so basically the main game mechanic is at the moment of you get the Ocarina. Well, you have the Ocarina of Time with
Yes,
you, and
still.
at the moment of well, Skull Kid steals it, but you get it back first. At the moment where the moon is about to land, you're fighting Skull Kid on top, and you're like, well, gotta peace out. So you time travel as a Deku Scrub back to the first day, the dawn of the first day. I should be playing Majora's Mask music right now.
Yeah. 72 hours remain.
That's the one. And basically, what you have to do is
side story here.
Sure.
When I was living with my brother, we were counting down the days for when I was moving to Texas here, and he posted on Twitter, like on the last day, he posted the thing that said 24 hours remain or something like that. And then, as you may recall, my flight was delayed.
Oh no.
And so he was like, it kind of ruined his whole thing that he had going for like the past 3 days.
Oh, yeah.
And so then he just posted like a thing like, you played the Song of Time and you went back. It is
Nice.
Yeah, made up for it. Clever kid.
But yeah, so there's also these big nosed mans in Termina who are kind of like their myth legend, who just kind of, it's really funny the way they illustrate it. They're these giant fucking dudes who just have giant head noses, and they're huge, and they just stand in Clocktown like back to back, in normally like before shit hit the fan.
Sure.
And it's like there's no room for anyone to do anything because there's these giant nose people, nose people who are just sitting there. But they
just sniffing up all the air.
Yep. But like the residents of Termina did like some shit to piss them off, and they were disappointed, so they all in their directions looked and took like 100 strides, which is way longer for their big feet, off in that direction. So it's like the four corners of Termina. And Link's goal is basically to stop the moon. He has to go find all of the big nose people and rescue them from like demons or whatever, and then they will stop Majora's moon from exploding.
Cool.
So that happens.
He does that.
Through a series of adventures with masks. It's what it's called Majora's Mask, because you use a bunch of masks to transform yourself.
When I attempted to play Ocarina of Time for the first time, it was after I'd seen my brother play through that and Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
I thought the masks in Ocarina of Time also did things. They do not.
No, the one of them does, but it's not even really a mask, just the bunny ears.
Yeah, like the bunny ears. Yeah.
Yeah, there's also like the Keaton mask in that, but yeah. So Majora happens, and it's very dark and sad, and it's a great game. But Child Link saves the day once again, and the moon is good, and he never really finds Navi, I don't think.
No.
But
it was all a bust.
Nope. But
he couldn't get Navi in the budget. He
goes back to the Hyrule, and the Lost Woods, and then he fucking dies eventually.
Just like of old age, or
it's not really super confirmed.
Ate some bad food.
The popular theory, or there's two popular theories involving him dying in the Lost Woods. One is that Majora's Mask. No. One is that Majora's Mask never happened, and that he did legitimately get lost in the Lost Woods and died, because in the Lost Woods you become a Stalfos, which there's theories about this, evidence about this in the next game. And there's also that when he went, Majora's Mask did happen in that parallel dimension, but when he went back to the Lost Woods, he couldn't find his way out looking for Navi, and then he died there. But I think Nintendo's official explanation on it is that, and I could be talking about my ass here, but...
You could be talking about your...
That too.
Okay, that's what I heard.
No, out my ass.
All right.
I think the official explanation is that just Link went back to normal as a Knight of Hyrule, but because nobody remembered the timeline of him being like a super good hero,
Yeah.
like nobody knew who he was, and he like disappeared right after he told Zelda.
He got
so,
real depressed and committed suicide.
no, he just kind of either he died of old age or he died in the Lost Woods in one of two ways. But he probably did die in the Lost Woods at some point. Because of evidence in Twilight Princess, the next
Right.
game.
He went back, committed suicide.
Yep.
I'm really hung up on this idea.
But
So Twilight Princess then.
yeah, so at some point after Majora's Mask or during Majora's Mask when Link is gone, the sages decide to deal with the Ganondorf of everything. Because Ganondorf is still around. The same Ganondorf from Ocarina who tried to mess everybody's day up but couldn't because they were armed with that knowledge. They decide to execute him, but it kind of fails. It fails to an extent where they're just like, all right, well, we just got to seal him away again. So they seal him away, and I think all the sages lose their lives in the process or something.
Yikes.
And then,
Boy, that doesn't really seem worth it, though, does it?
I mean, it was a last-ditch effort.
If they lose their lives just to seal him up, wouldn't it make more sense just to kill him and save?
Well, they tried.
Oh, okay.
That was first what they tried, but I don't think it worked. But eventually, it like kind of did. But anyway, so this guy named Zant, I think is his name, came along and was like, "Well, shit, I want Ganondorf back. I want my boy." So
yeah, of course, they're bros.
he
Grew
like
up
brought
together.
him back or some shit, or was trying to. He does eventually. But in the process, like Zelda is there, and like he issues Zelda an ultimatum, the classic ultimatum of like,
Of course.
come with me and help us or die. So Zelda's like, well, I don't want to die. So she goes with him. And then these like shadow beings invade Hyrule, and this really gross looking shadow realm thing is laid upon Hyrule, and like this Princess Midna character is like transformed into a little
Do
spirit
people
thing.
like Midna?
Yeah,
Okay.
Midna's beloved. Everybody
Gotcha.
loves her.
There was another helper character that people don't care for.
Fee.
Fee.
That's Skyward Sword.
That's the one. Okay.
But and Navi to an extent.
well, yeah.
But everybody like playfully hates Navi. Everyone really hates Fee.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in Twilight Princess, there's this ranch hand boy who's just like helping out in a village. He knows like all the goats and stuff.
Yeah, he does.
And that's Link. And
Oh, yay!
he gets into some kind of mix up where he's like knocked out by some bokoblins or some shit. And then he's taken away, and then he's like some kind of, I don't really remember why or how this happens. Probably just circumstance, Legend of Zelda shit. But he's turned into a wolf as a curse. And he's like, I gotta reverse this. I don't want to be a fucking wolf.
I used to own this town. now my life's turned upside down. You know what I'm talking about?
Sure.
I wish I could figure out. Do you think it's just a phase I'm going through?
Why am I a wolf,
It's
man?
just a phase I'm going through. Oh!
That was pretty good.
That was from the hit show Big Wolf on Campus.
Incredible.
You are welcome. Everyone Google that theme song. It
He's
is
not a
a
wolf.
masterpiece.
He's just a wolf.
Right, but that's the same thing.
No, it's not.
They're the exact same thing.
Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. With the help
Just
of
wanted to break
Midna,
things up a bit.
he gets out of the jail, wolf jail,
Yeah.
and figures out how to transform between Wolfman and Linkman. And then they go and they like do all this stuff to beat shit. And then whoopity bop, there you have it. Link saves the day.
He sure does.
Midna Midna commits suicide to save people after she's finally transformed back into not fairy girl, which is kind of sad. And then like Zelda gets this bow of light and pierces Ganon's heart or some shit to Ganondorf's heart, but he does turn into big old beast Ganon at some point. Twilight Princess is very heavily inspired by Ocarina.
Yeah.
And that's the one that I was referring to earlier when I was saying that it very much takes place in the same world, because it is the most. I think it's the closest to another game without it being a direct sequel. And it being in that same Hyrule, because Ocarina, like in Twilight, you go to like the Temple of Time's ruins and Hyrule Castle, which is not in ruins, but you go to the Temple of Time's ruins to find the Master Sword, because in this timeline that's where it rested originally, and that's where you get that, and you go all these places that have only slightly changed. It's pretty cool.
I like it.
But and the one of the big things that is in Twilight Princess that is like a timeliney connecty thing is there's this character called the Hero's Shade, who is this Stalfos looking skeleton boy who teaches you super cool moves that. But the batteries died.
Oh, I thought. Yeah. Okay. There it is. Yeah. In between takes, the battery died. It was so sad that I almost cried, but Dylan swapped him out and saved our hide. So now let's get back to Zelda.
Hell yeah. All right. Oh God, what the hell was that?
Wow.
What was that?
I don't know. Is the recording fine though?
Yeah, we're good.
All right.
Potentially.
That explains everything you need to know about what just happened. So go listen back to those sick rhymes.
Batteries died.
Yeah.
Anyway, Twilight Princess Hero Shade. So the Hero Shade, he teaches you all these cool moves, like a spin attack. You do some like final strikes shit where you like jump in the air and hit him in the chest.
Rad. Is that the previous link?
Yeah, it's the Hero Time.
Awesome.
So okay, making all kinds of noises.
The coaster just is stuck to my.
Well, that's why you got to do like a pinky move where you hit it
or
down first.
You just
that too.
I don't
know. So yeah, he has the evidence for it is like he's got like symbols on his armor, and his sword is the sword that you use in Majora's Mask. His shield is the final. It's a very decrepit version of the one that you use in Majora's Mask. And he also like very heavily talks about how he was a hero past, but no one can remember him.
Hi, I'm Link. I was the hero of time.
Basically.
And everyone's like, I think it could be.
But and it's also confirmed in this book that is him.
Okay, cool.
But after like many theories talking about it. But
that's awesome.
So yeah, that's that guy, and that's like the heavy things that why he died in the Lost Woods, because when you die in the Lost Woods, you become a Stalfos and you live forever. But yeah, so then Twilight Princess is Ganon sealed, and then Four Swords Adventures happens where Ganon's reincarnated, and also Vadi from like before Ocarina comes back. But I don't fucking care about that game, so
Fair enough.
We're gonna end the child timeline there.
Awesome. Wait, are we done?
No,
Breath of the Wild.
We could do that, or we could do a little mini episode.
Okay.
Where we do that.
How long do you think? Wait, why?
Because this one's been going for
12
hours.
But how long is the Breath of the Wild one?
Oh, like 20 minutes.
All right, we'll do a mini episode.
Okay. Catch us next time when we do a mini.
Because I feel like your 20 minutes is more probably.
Well, we can time
30.
it.
Okay,
we can time it. It's fine. We'll time it.
We'll try to put the mini episode out later this week, so you don't have to wait a week.
Yeah, sure. We'll remember to tell Dennis that.
It'll be a 0.5. What's this episode?
Mr. Menace. Oh, he's listening to this. We could just tell him now.
Yeah. Hey, Dennis, put this up. When do these normally go up? Or
Wednesday.
Wednesdays?
Yeah.
Put this up on like Friday.
Yeah, we'll do Friday.
Or not this one, but put the next one up on Friday.
Yeah, the mini episode.
Yeah. What episode is this?
17.
So 17.5?
That's the one.
There you go. Everyone look for a new episode on Friday.
Rate and review on iTunes. I've been Dylan.
Thank you so much for listening and enduring all this. It's been a fun time.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Just
No. You don't have to apologize. It just went longer than I expected it to.
So did I.
I don't mind talking about it. Yeah. Rate and review on iTunes. Join us next.
Tweet us something.
Tweet it. Yeah, another tweet thing for the end of the episode.
Ooh.
Tweet at us at an online podcast and tell us.
Your favorite link.
Yeah. Okay. Tell us who. Oh, yeah, that's fine. I don't know.
We already did the favorite. No, we should do something else.
We should do something else.
Say the phrase CDI. I barely know her.
CDI, I barely know her.
That's
that
the one.
Makes
Say that.
no sense.
Nope.
But what does CDI stand for? I've never known that.
Compact disc itch.
Inspector. I barely know her.
Ba-da-ba-ba.
For any of our viewers who have access to internet, we invite your comments.